Hey there everyone, welcome to my review of Talon Volume 1, The Scourge of the Owls. This is the third wave of New 52 series, and this is being written by Scott Snyder, James Talon IV, and with art by Gillum March. You might know Scott Snyder, obviously, from his run on the New 52 Batman. He also co-writes it with James, and also Gillum March. Catwoman, Birds of Prey. These are kind of the New 52 work that he's been doing. But anyways, Talon Volume 1, it collects Talon issues 0 to 7. I really like how the first volume collects issue 0. Because issue 0 was its debut. I think that's why they put it in as a first go. But, you look at all the New 52 titles that come out. I think because this is a third wave title, they do have the 0 issue in there, because most of the first wave, you have to wait for like the second or third volume to get the 0 issue. But regardless, I really like that. So let's get on to the comic book, and I will give a synopsis. Talon Volume 1 is a story about badass escape artist Calvin Rose, who is secretly being raised by Gotham City's own Illuminati, known as the Court of Owls. See, as a child, Calvin was essentially raised at Halley's Carnival, and if you don't know Halley's Carnival, the Flying Graysons. So they essentially turn Calvin Rose, take his, escape artist, mastery as he learned when he was growing up, all of his, take his acrobatics and his escape artist, skills, and then add that to the assassin skills that the Court of Owls taught him while he was being raised, to make him obviously a Talon. When he finally becomes one, he decides he does not want to do this. He is out of the game. But when he decides to leave his past behind and start a new life, his past won't leave him alone. And Calvin leaves Gotham City, is on the run for a few years. Even when he is far away from Gotham City in the court, they still find a way to come after him. So he's decided to go back to Gotham after hearing what happened during the events of Night of Owls. And now, with the help of some old and new friends, they're going to help Calvin take down the last remnants of the Court of Owls. Will he succeed? You're just going to have to read the comic book to find out. Let's talk about what I liked about this this first volume. And maybe I'll give a little thoughts of what I think about the whole series. It's currently up to, I think, maybe issue 10. I'll give my thoughts on that. So what did I like about this volume and Talon Volume 1? First off, story. The story is great. It's been stated by Scott and James, the two writers, that this actual comic series on its own is, an actual part of the, the Batman universe. This does take place in Gotham, and it is considered, in some sorts, a Bat book, and for good reason. This isn't just some series that's like tacked on bullshit that, they're just milking, the Court of Owls bandwagon with what Scott did with Batman. No, this comic takes what happened in Night of the Owls and goes even further into that, and then investigates, it really gets even deeper into the mythos of the Court of Owls and their history and what makes them who they are, and how they operate, even, how crazy and just kind of just creepy in a sense that the Court of Owls are. And you got to give it up to Calvin Rose as a character, because the man has some balls, because he's going up against like this huge animal. Even if they are, hypothetically, quote unquote defeated, there still is a lot more out there that he finds out, like, they are definitely not as defeated as people think they are. But what I really liked about the story is how throughout the graphic novel it progresses, and how Calvin and his team, plan to take down the court. Like, they go after their money and, like, freeze their accounts so they don't have any, funds to, fund their operation, obviously. And all these cool, like, kind of tactical decisions they use, and how it's almost like an Ocean's 11-esque, job that they're doing, taking down this huge organization. And that's really cool. And while we're, along with the story, we also have characters. And the characters in this comic are really good, actually. I definitely care about these characters, especially Calvin and his relationship with Casey Washington and her daughter Sarah. A little backstory is the reason why Calvin decided not to become a Talon is because his first mission after being a Talon is literally to murder Sarah and Casey, but he just can't do it. So that's one of the major factors that gets him kind of out of the game even before it starts. And another really kind of bullet in Calvin's revolver to face against the court is Sebastian Clark. Sebastian kind of sees Calvin in the first issue and what he did to one of the Talons and how good he was at facing against the Talon, that he recruits him. Sebastian is kind of a guy who essentially was targeted by the court but escaped, and he spent most of his life essentially just kind of preparing to take down the court. And now that the opportunity has come up, Calvin being there, he is now working together with Calvin to take down the court. And he has all these different connections, and he knows he has all these different kind of tools at his disposal. He has a book that's like the secret history of the Court of Owls. So Sebastian has so many tools and resources at his disposal. He's been waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, and this is the best moment for him because he has Calvin, like literally a Talon who's going to face off against other Talons, and all this stuff that he's been preparing for. And with our group of heroes, we need our group of villains, our antagonists. And of course, the main antagonist is the Court of Owls. But branching off from that, and who are we really going to see are different divisions of Talons and kind of the henchmen. We will see Grandmasters, the big kind of CEOs of, the court. But one of the main kind of baddies that we're going to, face off against is this huge beast that's essentially just this huge Talon from a really long time ago, and his name is Harmon. And just this huge, unstoppable beast that causes such a big problem for Calvin and his team. But he's probably one of the main villains. At one point, he goes rogue and kind of goes after Calvin at a more aggressive pace. But still, he is a huge problem for Calvin. And of course, let's switch it over to art, the second half of what makes a comic book great. And we're going to talk about the artist Gilliam March. In my opinion, and what I've seen from his work on Talon, he's really good. One of my favorite things that he does is he does a lot of texture, and he does a lot of attention to detail and how things are shaped. Like when you look at Talon's mask, you see how the mask might have like a little bit, it might be a little bit too big for their heads, so it wrinkles down a little bit, kind of like little turkey gizzards. And also the scales in Calvin's armor, those are all really detailed well. The shading that he does, how the characters look overall is really great. Especially, I don't want to say cinematography in comics as opposed to film, but how he draws each scenes and how the layout is really impressive. So definitely good job on the art. If I were to say one thing that I didn't like about this comic is there's a certain character in this, there's kind of a big betrayal that happens at the very end of the comic. How that person kind of reveals him or herself of being like, oh, I was actually this person the whole time. I mean, I saw that shit coming from a mile, okay? It wasn't a shocking moment. The ending was shocking on a character standpoint, but still, that character reveal, or betrayal, if you will, wasn't that too exciting. So my final thoughts on Talon Volume 1. If you're a fan of Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, and basically what they've been doing with Batman, and if you really like the Court of Owls and the mythos, I highly recommend you pick up Talon Volume 1 and overall the Talon series that's ongoing. It's up to issue number 10, but it's definitely worth it. It goes further into the Court of Owls mythos and calling back different stuff from Batman. Of course, Batman makes a cameo in this. It was a pretty good cameo. He's like, what's going on? What's going on, Calvin? And it'll be interesting to see if he works with Batman in the future, where the comic book is going. I mean, they have to work it together because what's coming to Gotham City, they're definitely going to need his help. But I'll get into that when I actually review that comic. So overall, if I had to give Talon Volume 1 a rating, out of 5, I'm going to give Talon Volume 1, The Scourge of the Owl, a 4.5 out of 5. You definitely need to pick this up if you're a fan of, the Court of Owls. And this is really a book that's going to go even further into what's happening with the Court of Owls, after the Night of Owls storyline. I think this is really perfect for people who just picked up that giant collection of the Night of Owls, when it's in its hardcover. You should definitely pick this up if you see it at your local comic book shop. Everything in this comic is really good. Like, I'm really surprised how good the characters are, the story is, especially where, the concept of this comic is, you wouldn't think it would work, but it really does. That's it for the video. Make sure you let me know what your opinions on this video by either liking or disliking this video, or leaving a positive or negative comment in the comment section below. If you want, subscribe to me. Also check me out on Google+, and check out my Let's Play of Spider-Man 2, The Sinister 6. Check me out on SoundCloud for audio version of my podcast. And also check out www.rhymeswithgeek.com. Some awesome comic book themed podcasts over there. Really fun. Definitely check it out.